And welcome back to Kivumbi 2017. Thank you very much for staying with us. Like I promised, we now want to continue with our conversation. We had started it earlier and it had gained quite a momentum. And I just want to reintroduce my guests again. Starting from my extreme right, we have Dr. Isaac Alua. He is an environmentalist, plus also he is a commentator on national issues. We also have Dr. Shem Ochodo, who's the chair of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance. We also have Professor Gitile Naituli, who is a commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. And last but not least, sitting next to me is Barak Muluka, who's the Secretary General of the Amani National Congress. So Barak, before the break, before we pose our conversation, you brought in a very interesting issue, and I've seen quite a number of people commenting about it online. And you said that these issues will only be dealt with once, we have everybody feeling that they are Kenyan and they are entitled to what this country has to offer. But is it as easy as that? Should we be looking at things like maybe we should change the way our presidential system works? Let me hear from Gitile because you introduced that notion. Let's just hear from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like your last sentence. Maybe we need to change how the presidential system works.
Yeah. So that everybody feels like
what
one
we
day,
need to do is go back to the values, go back to the values of public service. You see, what we are fighting over is actually not to serve the public. We are fighting to get access to proceeds of corruption. That is the bottom line. Because if we are fighting to serve, then all this will not be there. So we need to go back to the values. We need to link. You see, we need to have very serious laws where when you are in government, you cannot trade with the same government. If we can outlaw...
But don't we have that already? But it's not
really we are not implementing them. If we can outlaw business engagement with the government when you are working in it, we can address these issues of corruption. Believe me, we won't bother who serves us. We will not bother who is the president. We are not going to bother who is the minister. The thing right now is the power gives you opportunity to exploit.
But don't you think that that's an ideal situation, that even, maybe a number of us would want to, when we get there, we really forget what that was all about, and we now want to enrich in ourselves?
It's ideal, but it can work. It's workable. We started on that path, if you remember. Immediately after 2002, we are very, what did they say? We say we are the most optimistic people on the planet.
Yeah.
We are started in that path. Then somehow we moved away from it. So the other thing we have done, which is wrong, we have shifted our investment into politics. Now, politics is a totally an unproductive enterprise in that not produces a consume of resources, but we have shifted. So when we train an engineer, the engineer wants to be a politician, even before he employs the tools of his trade to assist society. When we train the doctor wants to go because that's where the money is. So there's a whole thing that we need to work around so that we can make public service truly public service.
Dr. Ochodo, do you think we should stop making it lucrative then?
Allow me, I didn't want us to lose some of the important current events.
Yes.
We just noticed that somebody has died in Bungoma. Allow me to record my condolences to the families that are bereaved, not just in Bungoma, but even in Migori. Word has it that somebody has just died in Oyugis. It's unconfirmed. But families that are grieving, our condolences. It's unfortunate that Chris Musandu died. To date, we still don't know who killed Musandu. Now that this session of the election is behind us, hopefully we'll get to know. We'll get to the bottom of why and who killed him. But the point is, if he was killed for political reasons, one should realize that that doesn't seem to have solved any problem. Having recorded my condolences to the bereaved families, I think our major problem is we've lost the value systems. I mean, when we talk of, and that applies to our politicians on both sides, even when we talk of the rule of law, to what extent are we obeying those rules of law? We try to interpret the law in a manner that suits us. I think, in my view, we need to go back to the value systems. Article 10 of our Constitution is very important in this regard, and so is Chapter 6, the leadership and integrity. But again, much of that we're not utilizing. But having said that, in terms of why are we so polarized as a nation. And in terms of what way forward can we suggest? In my view, I'm reminded of, I think it was a play or a film, to Shauriane, which we had, Betty, perhaps before you were born.
Oh my goodness.
I think
I'm sure I know about it.
I think if it was in Rwanda, I would have said we need to, it's what they call tuvugane.
Yeah.
Tuvugane is like simu ya jamii, but it means, literally, it's let's speak. I think it's time that we need to have a conversation, a candid, honest conversation. And for me, if we were to have such a conversation, the first thing that we need to talk about, of course, it has to be short-term and long-term. The short-term, let's increase. Devolution is having some impact. I know devolution has got its own problems because, obviously, the funds that are sent to the counties, very little of it goes into what it's meant to go into. In a number of counties.
Okay.
I don't want to particularize one. But let's increase it to 40% for a start. I know it's been 15%. That's not good enough. I'm not even saying the 40% is enough, but at least let's increase it to 40%, see how the new governors perform. And in this regard, allow me to load...
Very quickly, I hear the sentiments of Daktari. All right, I was going to let you finish, but let's...
I wanted to compliment.
Yes.
I had Professor Nyong'o talk. As a leader, say, tomorrow he's going over to Kericho to meet his counterpart. They've been talking. And he's also in conversation with the Nandi counterpart, governor, to talk. I think that's the kind of leadership that we need, that despite our differences and political inclinations, we must talk.
All right.
To Shauriane.
To Shauriane. Dr. Kalua, your contribution to this.
Yes. Earlier on, I talked about values in the statement of truth, that we need to be truthful about ourselves. And if indeed we are true Christians, as we claim to be, then it should be felt through our value system in the organization of our country. When I say that, of course, Prof raised an issue that we don't have Christians. I want to suggest that we do have Christians. The fact that leaders in the Christian fraternity may have failed, it gives them an opportunity now to wake up and show leadership in the way of the Bible. Christianity and religion matters. My brother Barack also said that we indeed should not be selective about. I am aware of Hosea chapter 8, verse 3 in the Bible, which says that about leaders and that there are those who are not of God. And indeed, we can go deep in the Bible to prove all this. But all I am calling upon is that value, that we are talking and being sincere about ourselves and having faith in that supreme God that we all believe or assume to believe in.
All right.
Our value, and please allow me to say more, because we are talking and we are faced in a situation where people have died in Kisumu. People have died in various places. So sad, so painful. This is not the way we should be losing lives. People are losing businesses in Kawangware. Fire has been set in different places.
Yes.
In Machakos yesterday, I was there. And even deeper and more painful, we should be asking ourselves, what is actually causing this?
But all these issues really are being brought, the truth is, they're being brought about by the same leaders that you're saying have been ordained by God.
Betty, as I say this, we know very well that there are people today who are demonstrating because the leaders in the morning, they will be out there telling them why they should not be demonstrating in this manner. And in the evening, they are sending money to support them to do things.
All right,
allow me to finish. I think you have given my colleagues enough time. Let me just push this one out. We have leaders also who have gone deep. Just yesterday, a political leader, or 3 days ago, who goes out to say this community does not have longer parts of our bodies, than we don't have. These people are participating in different things. Our president, tell him to undress, and I undress, and you'll find that I have longer body parts than him.
We don't have to really repeat.
What kind of discussion is this in a country where we know we must be pushing what is going to bring people and appreciate each other? If I was Uhuru Kenyatta today, I would sit and think there must be something that the Kenyans are talking about. I will talk of an all-inclusive government where it's not just my buddies. I will create a situation where I'm leaving a legacy in this nation, matters of corruption, and deal with them once and for all.
All right.
If I was Raila Odinga, I would also be talking of the same. Why are these people, even if it is 20% or 10%, why are they resisting on all this? Numbers in 26th and 8th of August do not have a relationship in one way or another. We now need to bring our nation together. We need to get people talking. And discussion and coming together as leaders is a must right now. It is inevitable. And this is the right time.
Okay. Barak, you've been itching to say something.
Yeah, thanks. My patience was actually running out, but I have learned the art of self-control. You see, we are refusing to face the issue. Or maybe we don't know what the issue is. First, I get very appalled when I hear people say that it is politics, we should not invest in politics. If you have familiarized yourself with the very basic tenets of political theory, societies and governments are formed through political processes so that they can organize power and resources. That power then defines our relationship to one another relative to the opportunities that are available in our environment, and that laws or systems of law and order then follow, and that those systems of law and order that follow hinge in justice, they hinge in fairness, they hinge in equity. And that you cannot run away from that and say we are talking about politics. In fact, politics and economics go together, hand in glove. That is why there's such a thing as a definition of particular political economies. You cannot divorce the two. Here in this country, I hear people sentimentalizing about things like our economy is collapsing, that we should stop talking about politics. It's politics that are going to organize your economic and social order. Does it not surprise us, as it should, that in one part of the country, people are celebrating, they are very happy. They are saying now life is back to normal, let us now build our economy, let us carry on, now everything is all right, we have elected our president. Does it not bother you that, truthfully speaking, 2 or 3 tribes have elected a president? About 40 tribes have boycotted.
Well,
this is something
we can't quite
we
confirm
may
numbers.
not want to talk about that because KTN will not want to say this was said on our platform.
No, until
but
we get the exact
the truth of the matter is that there have been those boycotts. Let us face this thing squarely in the eye. And how are you going to live with this? The challenge here is that someone is trying to establish a political hegemony. A hegemony is essentially a context in which a segment of the population wants to dominate other segments of the population. That was identified in 2008 in the Kriegler report. We took the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation report to Parliament. We are afraid of opening it up and discussing it. And we keep on going round in circles and saying that, oh, there's Raila Odinga. When you see Raila Odinga, these problems began before Raila Odinga. And long after Raila Odinga is gone and Uhuru Kenyatta is gone, these problems will still be with us because we are not addressing them. We even pretend and say that shida ya Kenya hii ni mtu mmoja anaitwa Raila Odinga. We used to say a few years ago, yote yawezekana bila Moi. Didn't we sing in the streets? Didn't we run all over the place, demonizing and vilifying Moi? Moi is no longer an active political player. Why is it that yote hayajawezekana?
Okay.
You know, there are some facts that we can't actually run away from. Fact is this country has taken a beating from politics. That's a fact. The economic situation of the country has truly taken a beating. That we cannot run away. Psychologically, as a people, we have also taken a beating because this thing has been endless politicking. That we can't run away. Our international image has also taken a beating because we now look like people unable to solve our own problem. Now, those are facts. Now, the other fact also, and this scares me, is that we could also be creating a section of the Kenyans who are entrenching the concept of victimhood. Okay? They're entrenching that concept that everything you look, when you look yourself as a victim, you invite mistreatment. Now, when you collectively look at yourself as a victim, that is even worse. Now, we could also be entrenching that. And that's why I'm saying that, great leaders actually emerge during the crisis, and they confront what the majority doesn't want to look like. Mbaraka was saying that we don't want to open this because it scares us. So that courage to open that, take a look at it, then it can move now the society forward. So these are some of the facts that I think we don't want to look at them.
Okay.
Or accept it.
Or accept them.
Betty, I think I'd want to be a little more futuristic. What solutions do we have to float on the table? I think we must decide whether we want to be part of the problem or part of the solution. I think for me, I would rather be a case where we recognize we have a problem. Of course, some people don't acknowledge that we have a problem. But I think the bulk majority of Kenyans do acknowledge, both Kenyans within and out of the country, that we have a problem. And I did suggest one solution, which was let's increase the amounts of resources we send to the counties. Because inequity is a major problem we suffer from as a country. I'm not talking even about about the misappropriation of resources, both at the national as well as the county levels. That's an issue that too has got to be addressed.
But you still have the counties which have challenges actually getting a bigger share of the budget when it comes to the devolution.
That's true. I think there is an operational issue. We are told that there are some countries which are being denied resources for one reason or another. But again, there are also people claiming that, if these funds had been released, they would be used for campaigns. I don't know where the truth lies. It's incumbent. Of course, only the Minister of Devolution.
You look like you have
but I wanted, more importantly, Betty, the second point I wanted to bring in terms of finding solutions to bring to shauriane in terms of getting solutions. The major problem to all this is exclusion. The fact that there are sections of the country and our society that feel totally left out. And this does not only apply at the national level, even at the county levels. I think that, for me, the second issue that we need to talk about very candidly in the conversation is how do we have equity, how do we have inclusion, how do we have a kind of diversity in terms of government and governance. The third major point that I would bring about is I know there's been the concern that, loser, winner take all.
Yes.
That when a presidential candidate loses, how do we accommodate them? For me, I would extend it even further beyond just presidential candidates. Even the county level candidates, the gubernatorial candidates. I think we need to include in our statutes the fact that we have official leader of opposition, both at the national level, as well accommodated by government, as well as the county level. Why do I emphasize county level? Because we do know that there are leaders in this country that fought so hard to bring multipartyism. But I'm not afraid to say that we forgot to take multipartyism where I come from, because it's all unison. And that's not, I would have issues with governors, but in a situation where you don't have anybody checkmating, then obviously that kind of thing that we need to look at. Finally, the one area...
we have to listen to the views of Dr. Kalua. What can you say about this conversation?
I just wanted to say something before we forget. What is it about the money transfer to the counties, increasing that money transfer? That is not a solution. In fact, that's what has happened. It has killed creativity. There's money going there. The money should never have been given to any county. This is what should have happened. The money should have been directed to development, so that the counties can raise their own money. What these counties have become, they have become employment bureaus. Therefore, the money going there is simply going to consumption. It's not going to changing the circumstances of these counties.
Right.
So that structure needs to change. Because so that these people, if you want to employ your entire community, get the money and employ them and they pay with your money, not other people's money.
Right.
This money needs to go strictly to development in these counties.
Right.
That we are able now to harmonize the development in the country. But that structure was not done well, and I don't believe that pushing money to these counties will change the structure.
Will help. All right, Dr. Kalua, what is one part of the solution that you think is going to get this country to move forward?
One, just like in the 1990s, beginning of 1990, I want to suggest to President Uhuru to take the approach of non-violent resistance, to disarm the youths and the people who are actually demonstrating supposedly according to the law. The only bit that is failing the part of law in this process is the fact that they are coming with crude items, they are using stones, they are using ways and means that will definitely cause that disharmony in this process. When you look at, and this is where also I call upon the general police boss, that his officers should really use rubber bullets where they must in this kind of a process. We shouldn't be experiencing deaths. This should not happen.
All right.
But